Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Garbage Time Takes. We finally have everyone back together. It's been almost a full month, 3 days shy of a full month since we had the Three Musketeers together. As always, I'm Derek here with my co host, Dennis Weaver.
That's right, man. It feels good to be back with everybody. And, it has been quite the stretch here. We had almost a month since the last time we all recorded together, as you mentioned. And then I believe 2 weeks before that, or the 2 weeks before that, there was a bit of,
An absence of Dennis
absence.
Weaver.
So,
Correct.
yeah, correct. Of myself. So, I acknowledge that. But, yeah, it's good to be here with both y'all today.
And of course, we've got Bob back from his surprise last minute trip to Morgan Wallen at Ford Field. Bob's on his phone today, so no camera shot. He's also half dead, falling asleep. Bob, welcome back. Please tell us what the experience of Morgan Wallen was like. Was it everything you dreamed of?
I mean, it was everything I dreamed of. Box seats, free food, free drinks. Um, Ford Field, first ever time at Ford Field. Hope to be making it back for a home playoff game this season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with Derek, because he will be flying in for that occasion, I'm sure.
If we were in the
But
NFC Championship game at home, I would heavily consider flying back for that. For sure.
but in the meantime, it's good to be back. Dennis, I've missed seeing your face because, like you mentioned, we have not been able to line up appearances at the same time. What's up, my man?
No, I would like to say that it's good to see your face too. Unfortunately, that's not really the case, but it's still, hear your voice, I can picture the face. It's all good. It's all there. And likewise, it's been a long time. It's been way too long. We have not lined up appearances, so yeah, I'm excited to get into it and talk shop.
Bob, one last thing and then we can talk sports. Were you belting your heart out to last night? Did you let the liquor talk?
I mean, it's everything we said when we said it all, baby.
Can you remember everything? Correct. Yes. There you go.
I
Well,
mean, Dennis. All I gotta say is, Dennis, where were you?
I mean, uninvited. I mean, that's
yeah,
I
I
guess.
like I have a feeling if Dennis was offered box seats to
Yeah,
Morgan
I say
Wallen, he would have been there prompt and immediately.
if I had a friend, if I had a connection with the box seats at Morgan Wallen, I'm there, baby.
Anyway,
Let's do it. Yeah,
moving
can't turn that down.
moving into the sports, since I can only take so much country music talk as it is.
Hey, Bobby, should we talk about the '98 Braves potentially? That could be a good starting place. Oh
I mean,
no, not even a
close to
response of
close
them.
to cut it, Dennis.
Close, but close doesn't cut it. That's correct. Between Andrew and Chipper and the big three pitchers. Sorry, sorry, Derek.
Is this just becoming Morgan Wallen karaoke? Is that
I
what
mean,
it's come to?
We may need
you
Ashley to
know,
co-host.
sometimes you need some Morgan Wallen karaoke. That's kind of how it is. Sometimes you need that, especially when there's not that much going on in the sports world. I mean, I don't know where you want to start, Derek, but as we were talking pre-show here, the biggest news is freaking Joey Chestnut
Correct.
in the whole sports world. So, I mean,
I mean,
that
let's
tells you
Flinging
the slow
glizzies,
news day.
flinging glizzies, baby.
let's break it down. I mean, at first, the fake news media tried to tell us
That's right.
that the hot dog eating contest was canceled because a bunch of bozos ran with a fake story, spread it like wildfire. My poor brother planned my brother and my parents were going to a movie on the 4th, and they specifically planned around the hot dog eating contest. And then when it was announced that the hot dog eating contest was canceled, they were like, "Oh, let's go to the 2 o'clock movie." And then, of course, the hot dog eating contest started at 2 o'clock, and so he missed it and had to watch the rerun on ESPN. But I mean, the real story is Joey Chestnut, American hero, patriot, greatest athlete in American sports history, rallying the troops, refusing to let the Nathan's hot dog eating contest be canceled. I mean,
We're gonna get him out here, Derek. We're gonna get him out here. We're gonna get this done. And darn it, he got it done.
He
All enemies, foreign and domestic, don't want to see the likes of Joey Chestnut because the man is America personified. Dennis, what are your thoughts on
All right,
what Joey did?
here's my question, and I'll give my thoughts for sure. But here's my question: Is it time that we start putting Joey Chestnut into
I like where you're going.
the conversation of the American sports Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
Is it time that we put him into this conversation? Because it depends on how you approach it, but this question is all about dominance.
Correct.
And absolute dominance. And there's nobody that has been more dominant single-handedly than Joey Chestnut. It could be a discussion.
Straight, Dennis.
It's incredible. It is a stretch unlike any other. And it may be time.
I mean, Dennis, I was right there with you during that whole entire thought process. I almost finished your sentence for you of putting Joey Jaws Chestnut on the Mount Rushmore of greatest American athletes of all time. I mean, how can you deny it? Dude is a winner. He could give probably a 3-minute head start to his competitors and still probably win the hot dog eating contest if he wanted to. I mean, he's just an absolute unique human specimen of which
human
there is
vacuum cleaner, Derek.
Human vacuum cleaner. There's just no equal. There's no equal for Joey Chestnut, and we may never see this kind of dominance in the hot dog eating world ever again.
And I mean, if you're thinking about American sports and American competition, hot dog eating contest it just speaks to you. It just does.
Correct.
On the 4th of July. On the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July, it's just absolutely. And it's impressive.
I mean, Great Britain is not sending over hot dog champions to America. It doesn't work like that. Joey Chestnut, you said it was 7 straight, Bob. I know it was his 16th title in his career, which is just absurd.
And I'm pretty sure he only, before that, it's been almost all consecutive, except for that one loss, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But Joey Jaw on the loose.
I have to admit, I don't know that much about hot dog eating contest history or statistics, but I would imagine, and this is just my thought process here, that a man who is as dominant and as talented, I guess you could say, as Joey Chestnut has to draw the absolute best competition that there is. I mean, this man has to be drawing, at least over the course of history, some of the best challengers that possibly could show up against him in the hot dog eating contest, and he's taken them down, not even close, absolutely obliterated them. So I mean,
and I think what you're alluding to, Dennis, which I think kind of goes under the radar, is the margin of victory. The margin of victory in every single one of the I can't remember the last time I tuned into a hot dog eating contest, and I tend to follow them every year, and it was particularly close.
Yeah, I don't even know when the last time the second place finisher ate 50 hot dogs.
Yep.
And Joey is routinely up around upper 60s, 70s. Couldn't get the record this year. I don't know what the reports came out about the quality of dog was. I don't know if they ended up reheating them all, re-grilling them all. I do not know, because basic science would tell us that all the moisture in the air after the thunderstorms that ran through Coney Island would suggest that the buns would be more apt to being dunked because they would have soaked up some of the moisture. But if they left the buns out all day and they didn't get wet at all, then they probably dried out a little bit.
This is an incredible breakdown.
And if the hot dogs were not re-grilled or re-fired and they were cold, I mean, let's be real. A cold hot dog does not go down nearly as easily as a hot dog. I mean, that's just facts. It gets, a little stiff, a little rubbery. whereas a nice warm hot dog, you chew it and it goes right down. So I didn't actually get a chance to look into the specifics myself, but considering Joey didn't quite reach 70 and he was feeling pretty good about himself, I have to imagine that the quality of dog was not at record-breaking levels.
I mean, only on Garbage Time Takes, folks. Only on Garbage Time Takes do you get this expert analysis from the boys from Derek Rezio on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. That's all I have to say.
Bob, any further thoughts other than greatest American of all time, Joey Chestnut?
I mean, Derek, the competition must go on. That's all I've got to say.
It would be the most un-American. See, that's why Joey Chestnut is the greatest American of all time. How un-American would it have been to not had the hot dog eating contest on July 4th? I mean, we might as well have just thrown July 4th out at that point. So thank you, Joey Chestnut, for saving America and saving July 4th.
Still wondering why they haven't figured out how to eat hot dogs inside, but I digress.
They didn't book a venue, Bob. I remember they did it for COVID. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they booked a convention center or something, but I do remember that for COVID they did it indoors. But yeah, perhaps in the future, maybe having a backup venue to go to in the event there is inclement weather, as Dennis would put it in meteorological terms.
Right, you do
An event.
you do hate to see the delay to the hot dog eating contest. That's just unfortunate.
This is the last thing, and then we can move on. I was actually okay with it, because getting up at 9 a.m. to watch the hot dog eating contest on a Tuesday morning, that's a little bit rough for me out here in the streets. I'm a 9:30 to 10 o'clock type of guy, so I was actually not totally upset that it was pushed back. Um, but yeah, thanks to Joey Chestnut, greatest American of all time. Moving into some baseball talk, um, Mike Trout. He's done it again. He has fractured the hamate bone in his wrist. Bob, did I pronounce that correctly as our resident?
Correct. That's the correct pronunciation.
Thank you. Broken his hamate bone, and just unfortunate timing for the LA Angels, who struggle to win as it is because the rest of the team outside of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are garbage. Um, yeah, just another unfortunate injury in a series of career-long injuries for Mike Trout. Dennis, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it truly is because he's just one of the absolute best and is on pace still. I think last time I checked in to set some records, but it's just unfortunate to see the continued injury problems to such a talented individual. And I mean, it's tough to see. Injuries suck.
Bob, we dodged a bullet with Chase Everett refusing to trade us Mike Trout.
That you did. That you did.
We absolutely did, Derek. And this is a guy. This is a player that's already put up a 3 WAR on the season. On pace for a 6 WAR season, which for any other player's career year, for Mike Trout, that's a down year.
Correct.
The talent that this man has displayed is otherworldly. Unfortunately, the hamate is a pretty common bone to fracture in your hand, so it's just very unfortunate. Because it's one thing if Mike Trout wasn't trying to keep himself in the condition to play, but that's really just not been the case.
Correct.
For many of Mike Trout's injuries throughout his career. It's been as a lot of baseball injuries are, very freak accidents that end up turning into something more serious than you would think. And this guy just can't stay healthy to save his life. And I can't help but, I say this every time that something like this happens. I can't help but think that the fans of the MLB and Mike Trout himself have been robbed of what could have been. And now the Angels were probably never going to win anything, but
not according to Stephen A. Smith.
It certainly. Oh, absolutely. That was a crazy clip to watch this week, but we'll never truly be able to know what we were missing out on, without being able to see all that time that he missed. Because I think the last time he played like close to a full season was only like 130 games, and that was a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And so, even when he's healthy, you have to be so cautious that it's almost killer in itself there.
Yeah, he's not quite Byron Glassbones Buxton, but he is, I think, probably fair to call him injury prone, just because he does seem to suffer, at least one medium to major setback per season in the injury department. Dennis, any further thoughts on Mike Trout?
No, I don't have anything else. Bobby covered it pretty well.
I agree. The only other real big baseball news, Nelson Cruz, Rangers legend, Mariners legend, help me out, Dennis, Padres legend.
Padres.
What
Did
other?
he play for the Twins?
Twins legend.
Twins, yes.
Twins legend. I can't think of anything more. Those might be the only four, actually. But yes, Nelson Cruz, DFA'd by the Padres, 43 years old. So credit for him, to him, for still being in the major leagues at 43, considering there's a lot of scrubs out there who are out of the league by the time they turn 25. He was only hitting 245 with 5 dongs in 49 games. And considering he's, quite old, a little on the heavier side, if he's not hitting dongs, he's not really that valuable of an asset at this point in time, unfortunately. What do you guys think? Good old Nelly.
Derek.
Yes, Dennis.
I looked it up. Nelson Cruz has played Major League Baseball games for 8 teams.
8 teams?
8. Yeah.
And we've already got 4 of them.
We said Texas, of course.
Yep.
We said Texas. Minnesota is correct, of course. San Diego.
And Seattle.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 we've got.
The other 4, he was only on the roster for a season. So that's tough.
Was he ever in Baltimore?
That's tough, but yes, Baltimore. Yes.
Was he ever... I don't want to try and take up too much time, otherwise Bob may fall asleep. With the Nationals?
Yep, that's also correct. That's 2 for 2 there.
Bob, any guesses? We've only got 2 more to go.
I thought I was doing good with the Twins, but I got nothing else besides that.
No, you did do good with the Twins. Yeah,
You did.
I don't think I would have gotten the Twins.
Gosh.
I forgot about the Twins.
I want to say, Derek, my only other guess was going to be Miami.
That was one of mine too, but I wasn't quite sure.
It sounds right, but it is not. I would have been on board with that guess though. Definitely.
Toronto?
Yeah. No, nope, not Toronto.
Fudge.
Nope.
Go ahead and give it to us. I don't want Bob to fall asleep.
It's the Tampa Bay Rays and the Milwaukee Brewers.
I would have
the same state.
I would have never guessed Milwaukee. I do not remember him ever being in Milwaukee. What year was that, Dennis?
The first year of his career, 2005.
And that would be why.
Wow.
That would be exactly why, never him being in Milwaukee. But yeah, I mean, credit to Nelson. I mean, what you said, an 18-year career.
19-year career.
19-year career. Hard to be in the league for that long. Credit to him. But it seems like we're getting down to the end of the road for Nelson.
Man, it's sad. 449 dongs, couldn't quite get to the 500 club. That sucks. That sucks.
And just one off from the 450 club. But you never know.
One off from 450, yeah.
You never know. Maybe a struggling team like the New York Yankees could use a possible power bat with the short porch and right. You never know. You never know. Maybe the Red Sox. Nelson Cruz can just try and pull the ball over the monster. Who knows, Bob?
Maybe the Phillies. Cal Schwarber kind of stinks now, so they could use him to replace.
Come on.
Come on. The thing is, Derek, is that Nelson obviously was putting up pretty pedestrian numbers, but it also doesn't help that he's literally only a designated hitter on a team that has, on paper, plenty of designated hitting.
Correct.
And if I'm not mistaken, they were also using Matt Carpenter as a designated hitter quite a bit as well, which he's shown a lot more recent success, I think, than Nelson. So, you got to keep that spot available and open.
Yeah, they were sort of running a platoon DH where Matt Carpenter, as a lefty, got the majority of DHs against right-handed pitchers. Nelson was getting the left-handed pitchers. But what the big thing about being able to have a DH is giving your star players a pseudo off day. You can get them off their feet from playing in the field, and instead have them DH. That way, you can still have their bat in the lineup without them having to be on their feet all day. And when you have a guy like Nelson Cruz who can only DH, you limit the number of opportunities to be able to give guys like Machado and Tatis and Juan Soto days off without actually giving them a day off.
Dennis, maybe since you had the page up, you can answer me this. What position did he play most of his career?
Right field.
Mostly right field. Yeah. Yep. That's correct. And then a lot of DH, obviously, down the stretch. But
if I remember right, I'm pretty sure good old Nelly Cruz had a cannon. I think Nelly Cruz had a hose.
I think he might have had an arm, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Did he ever? He did not win a gold glove. But, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. He still could have had a cannon.
Correct. But yeah, unfortunate for Nelson Cruz, but perhaps this is the sort of spark the Padres need to be like, hey, nobody's safe. We got to get our act together. As they sort of flounder around near the bottom of the NL West. But speaking of teams that are not floundering around, the Cincinnati Reds, Dennis, I feel like I let you go on a Cincinnati Reds parade every single week. And here we go. It's your weekly parade time.
It's the Nationals, so this week
suck.
was the Nationals, and they suck. But sweeping anybody in a 4-game series in Major League Baseball is not an easy feat, and that's exactly what we've done this week. And it's this team just continues
never
to
dies.
Roll, quite honestly,
they never die. They go down late game comebacks constantly. Easily one of the most electric teams in the league.
It is a fun team to watch right now, and I hope that they're able to keep this momentum going. As I've mentioned to you guys, I will be at the game tomorrow night in Milwaukee, which is obviously a big series. Somehow, thanks to the Chicago Cubs, that is, I should say, we do currently enjoy a 2-game lead in the NL Central. And because we just keep winning. And so it's truly incredible. We're getting contributions across the board. I know there's a lot of hype still with Elly De La Cruz, and he's great. I think he's a great prospect, and I'm glad we have him. But we're, quite frankly, just hitting up and down the lineup. Nick Senzel has started to hit the ball out of the ballpark the last few days, which is incredible. India does his thing, and really it's just up and down the lineup that we're getting production, even out of guys like Luke Maile, for all people, is giving us production. This team can score seemingly at will at the current moment, and then the starting pitching is suspect, but holding it together. And then you got Alexis Diaz coming in at the end of the game, at the end of these games, and locking it down. I don't know what else to say, to be honest with you. I don't have a deep analysis. I'm just enjoying the show because as a fan, this is really exciting and completely unexpected to me. I know we talked about it before the season started, but my expectations for this team, my predictions for this team were sub 500. Be lucky to not lose 100 games. And now we find ourselves 10 games over 500 and darn near the All-Star break with the lead in the division. I don't know what this team. I think the question for me would be, what does this team do at the trade deadline now? I didn't think I was going to have to ask this question. I still think you just, personally, I would say you sit it out, you wait it out, and let this roster do what it's been doing, because this offseason, you're going to have no Joey Votto contract. You're going to have no Mike Moustakas contract, which, yes, I know we've discussed on this podcast, is gross and disgusting. And I believe there might be one more year of paying Ken Griffey Jr., but
I think so.
all in all, you're going to have money to maybe sign a few big free agents rather than
if your
trading
owner is willing to open up his pocketbook.
Okay, all right, yes, but I mean, we're talking about the two highest current players on our roster no longer being with us. Not to mention the fact that I'm pretty confident we're not going to be bringing back Will Myers, and so three highest.
So I mean, Dennis, it sounds to me like that's just more of a reason for your owner not to spend. I mean, you're nearly 10 games over
You got to
500
spend some of it.
with a bunch of guys on rookie contracts. Your owner, you're selling out Great American Ballpark on a near nightly basis. I mean, dude is rolling in cash.
Derek, your accurate representation of the mind of Bob Castellini makes me want to throw up. It really does, because that's exactly how he would think, and I know it, and you know it, and everybody knows it. And to hear you say those words out loud is disgusting. It just makes me so upset.
I'm so
but
sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, we are winning these games, but it would be nice to see that money go somewhere potentially, because this team has some real potential, and maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe they have some miracle run in them this year. I'm still not on board with making that an expectation. However, they've shown that it's possible. So,
Yeah.
who am I to say?
Yeah.
Who am I to say? My theory would be, don't trade for, a guy who is going to have to go back to free agency at the end of the season unless you're able to get a deal and you feel like the prospect you're giving up is not a part of this team's future.
Yeah, I'll say two things, and then I'll turn it over to Bob if he's still awake. The first thing, to your credit, Dennis, if the roster as it stands right now would have been the same as the roster unveiled on opening day, you would have lost 100 games. No question. I mean, the opening day roster, straight cheeks. But now that you've actually done the due diligence of calling up Ellie De La Cruz, calling up Spencer Steer, calling
Matt
up
McLean.
Matt McLean, I mean, you the the lineup on a daily basis today is not the same as the lineup that was at the start of the season. I think that has been extremely beneficial to get the washed old veterans out of your ball club. And not to mention,
Correct.
Joey Votto comes back from injury and just immediately starts raking. So, I mean, just.
One other thing I got to get you guys, or at least your thoughts on, is TJ Friedel. I mean, that is he's a guy who I swore off maybe 2 years ago as absolutely garbage, and this organization is stuck by him for whatever reason. They saw the potential, and now he's a key part. It feels like of what we do here. He has that energy. He puts the ball in play. He runs hard. He steals bases, and he can even hit the ball out of the ballpark as of recent. So another sort of diamond in the rough kind of guy that stepped up out of thin air. It really feels that way.
Correct. I'm a big fan of TJ Friedel and the work he has done for my fantasy team on a number of occasions, so big fan. Bob, are you still with us?
I am. I'm still with you. Don't worry.
Bob,
had to get my thoughts in about the Reds.
Have you been vomiting all over yourself, having to listen to Dennis gloat about the Reds?
No, because thank you, Rob Manfred and MLB blackout restrictions. The Reds are like the team I actually watch probably more than any other team. And that was true even before they were 10 games over 500 or whatever they are now. Because I can never watch the Tigers. And Cincinnati generally plays similar time schedule games to whenever the Tigers would play because similar region. But what's going on there is absolutely nuts. Not in terms of the prospects, but like you were saying, Dennis, the likes of a TJ Friedel, these were guys. There were a few of these guys, had been here for a few years. They were relatively new, but I remember when TJ Friedel was getting inserted into the lineup and pitch hitting and stuff like that a year ago, and we were just wondering what the heck.
Correct.
What were we? What was who was thinking that that was a good idea, basically, to put him in there as one of your best bats. And now, you can't he can't stop hitting. Um,
Correct.
he can't stop doing things right. And your organization, every single guy they call up, it's always the right time for the call up. Andrew
Yep.
Abbott has just looked like Cy Young reincarnated out there. I think that's kind of gone a little bit under the radar, just
It
because of
has.
all of the you know great hitting and offense that has been played. Um, I would love to see a pitcher added at the deadline, just
That
for
would be
a
great.
just to see what the team can do. Because even if a pitcher with a little bit of length left on his deal, I would say, because even if it doesn't work out this year, your team's still going to need a rotation piece for the next few years if you're going to want to make something of this group. And so it makes sense to add something if you can get it at the right price. And then, of course, the last thing and final thing I want to see is just bring CES up. But there's no point, there's no place for him when even the likes of Kevin Newman can't stop hitting.
Correct. It's so true. It's so true. And another name that got activated, I think it was today. I think this was the first day he actually pitched. Bobby, you'll remember Tony Santian, finally
Stain.
back from injury.
Oh my gosh.
And coming out of the pen today, a scoreless inning, a scoreless ninth
Against
to get it into extras for the Cincinnati Reds.
against the Nationals.
Tony Santian.
Against the Nationals.
Okay. I know. I'm playing it up a little bit. You gotta play it up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kyle Finnegan blowing a save.
That's because Kyle Finnegan blows. Last thing on the Reds, because I can only stomach so much Reds talk while my Cubs continue to flounder.
I mean, we could just make it a Reds podcast if you want.
Let's not.
I got more.
I mean, I love your passion, Dennis, and I am. There's a small piece of me that is happy for you. I do not think the Reds will do anything at the deadline unless they're going to find a way to get long-term controlled pieces in either the bullpen or the rotation. I just don't see why the Reds would feel the need to make any big moves.
I think it's time to bring Marcus Stroman to Cincinnati.
I mean, the only
Here's the thing.
prospects you'd have to trade are guys who are going to be log jammed behind your current called up prospects. And I don't know what your farm depth looks like if you have a log jam in the outfield or a log jam at the corners or a log jam up the middle.
Well, we have a log jam at shortstop, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the only way I could see pieces being brought in is if the Reds are able to leverage some of their guys that simply just do not have a spot on the roster for whatever reason, even if they are a talented prospect. That's really the only way I see the Reds making any moves is if they're going to get a quality younger pitcher, perhaps, with long-term control. To use as a staple of the future of the franchise, but that's about the only move I see.
I agree with you. It would have to be somebody with longer term control. And I mean, just to elaborate briefly, it's pretty incredible because we brought up Matt McLean and Ellie De La Cruz, and then our top like 3 prospects are still shortstops.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, if the Reds want to trade Christian Encarnacio Strand for Marcus Stroman, be my guest.
They should not do that.
If you want to trade for a 32-year-old pitcher having a career year and a contract year, who wants to sign a long-term deal for lots of money, and you want to trade CS for him, I would accept that, Dennis.
Shane Bieber to the Reds.
Another old guy.
One last point here, because I do think starting pitching is clearly a potential area of weakness on this team, and it's kind of impressive how we've gotten this far without it, blowing up in our face.
I think your team ERA is third worst in the entire MLB.
Yeah, it's literally because we just can't stop hitting, as Bobby pointed out. We have, Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo on the IL. You could say about how really good are they each. That could be an argument you can make. However, I'm looking down this list of injuries and return dates, Bobby, and I'm seeing an expected late 2023 return of Vladimir Gutierrez to the Cincinnati Reds, we could be just
Oh
in
my
time, baby.
god.
That could be the
Just in
shot in the arm
time.
you need.
Vlad could be coming in. We don't even need to trade for no arms at the deadline. We're just going to bring him right back into the rotation here in September, and he's going to fit right in, and it's going to be that boost that we need to get through the dog days of September and into the playoffs, baby. That's what I'm calling.
Dennis, all I know is that next year, when inevitably the Reds are trying to make a push, I better see Rich Hill being signed to the Cincinnati Reds. To make a start every 5 days, because it just seems like a good fit.
I mean, could be Rich Hill. It could be Rich Hill time.
Dig Mountain.
Absolutely. But yeah, the injury list is flooded with starting pitching and bullpen pitching. I mean, pretty much everybody on the IL right now is pitching up and down the list. So maybe that's a reason that they decide not to make a move. I don't know. They could still. It'll be interesting.
Last little bit of MLB talk. The 2023 Home Run Derby was announced. I don't particularly care to talk about the actual All-Star participants at this point because there could be more injuries before our next pod, which will be pretty much right around the All-Star break, if not right smack dab in the middle of All-Star weekend festivities. I'm not sure. But because there's still, people getting added to the roster, it doesn't really make too much sense to talk about snubs at this point, so we can wait a week. But the Home Run Derby is set. In order, the seeding is Pete Alonso as the number 1 overall seed, followed by Randy Arozarena, Mookie Betts, Adolis Garcia, Adley Rutschman, Julio Rodriguez, Jorge Soler, and Vladdy Jr. Boys, that is one of the better Home Run Derby participants list we've had in the past few years. I mean, all credit to Kyle Schwarber. Dude's just not really built for the Home Run Derby. I mean, the swing is a little too wild, can pop him up a bit. I think Chris Bryant was one time in a Home Run Derby and he was Stain. This is just, I mean, the top 4 especially, Pete Alonso, Randy Arozarena, Mookie Betts, Adolis Garcia, all 20 home run plus guys as it stands. Julio Rodriguez got superstar power. Adley Rutschman can slug it with the best of them. Vladdy's been pretty slow this year, but we know what kind of power he has. And Jorge Soler can hit absolute tanks. I, for one, am very excited by this Home Run Derby list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally, I do enjoy the Home Run Derby, and I always like to watch it every single year.
Oh, Luis Robert, not Jorge Soler. Luis Robert, not Jorge Soler. Sorry.
No, okay, no, you're good. You're good. That sounds like a good lineup to me. I mean, I think that the last couple years it's kind of felt like a weak lineup, as I recall. At least there have been a few in the last few years, and yeah, that's one that's more exciting to me. I think you're absolutely right about sometimes the guys who hit the ball, our quote unquote power hitters aren't necessarily the best for the Home Run Derby if the swing just doesn't match up with hitting the ball out of the ballpark in that format.
Bob, will you be watching this year's Home Run Derby?
I got to see Adley hit, man. I got to see Adley
go
at it. That's the number 1 person I'm most excited to see. And then Vladdy Jr. But I really want to see what the catchers got, what the young guns got, Derek.
I mean, totally agree. Just going back a couple of Home Run Derbies. Wow, this is some grade A stuff. So last year, it was the Albert Pujols year where he beat Kyle Schwarber in the first round and then lost to eventual champion Juan Soto. It was Kyle Schwarber, Albert Pujols, Juan Soto, Jose Ramirez, Corey Seager, Julio Rodriguez, Pete Alonso, and Ronald Acuna. So a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of actual, electric Home Run Derby possible performances. The year before, Shohei was in it. I remember that was awesome. It was Shohei versus Juan Soto, Sal Perez versus Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, Trey Mancini, Joey Gallo, and Trevor Story. Again, a mixed bag. No Home Run Derby in 2020. And then in 2019, It was Matt Chapman, Vladdy Jr., Alex Bregman, Jock Peterson, Josh Bell, Ronald Acuna, Pete Alonso, and Carlos Santana. So again, a mixed bag. But this year, 1 through 8, you could see any one of those guys winning.
That's absolutely right. Bobby, all I got to say is I better see Adolis Garcia absolutely wipe the curb with Randy Rosarena. I mean, we just cannot have
Does the grudge
Randy out
still
here
hold?
winning anything.
Does the grudge
The
still
grudge
hold?
is going to,
You're darn right.
the grudge holds.
And
The
Adolis
grudge will
Garcia
always hold.
has hit more dongs this season in inopportune fantasy times than any player I've ever seen. And so he better go out and show in the home run derby that that's at least warranted.
Shout out Wyatt Weaver for rostering Adolis Garcia.
Hopefully, perhaps Adolis Garcia can find his way onto my roster. Perhaps. If Dennis, we need a big 10-0 from you this week. Can we get a 10-0?
I'm pushing for it, man. I mean, here's the thing. The man of faith doesn't give up. Quite simply.
I mean, you can't be called the man of faith. Yeah, you can't be called the man of faith if you give up.
Exactly. Man of faith doesn't give up, and so we're gonna push for it, especially in a rivalry week here, or a week and a half, I guess it is, because it is one of those weird 2-week matchups with the All-Star break in the middle of it. But yeah, no, it's gonna be time to see Captain Jack, hit the curb, and hopefully we can do that for the league.
It would be greatly appreciated on this side of the division. That's all I really got for MLB talk. Dennis, massive news in the golf world. Rickie Fowler, Orange Sunday, finally finds his way to get a win. The Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan. Don't sleep. But, I mean, Dennis, that was awesome. I mean, a dude who was a shell of himself for quite some time, brought back his old swing coach, and really the past, I don't know, 4 tournaments has really been sort of locked in, and finally came to fruition. I'm going to step away for a quick minute. Dennis, I mean, just sing Rickie Fowler's praises for me, because I was extremely happy for him.
Dude, Tricky Ricky getting it done, it just made my heart happy. And I saw all the social media posts, so everybody out there that's been, pulling for Ricky through this hard time and is excited to see him finally get it done and climb to the mountaintop. I was just happy to rejoice with everybody that was excited about it. I thought there for a second that there might be a situation in which things fell apart down the stretch on Sunday. I mean, you had a bit of a run from Adam Hadwin. You had a massive run from Colin Morikawa to force the playoff on Sunday afternoon. And that was, you could just tell that those guys were a little bit more comfortable with their swing and a little bit more comfortable getting the number put up. And Ricky was just kind of holding on for dear life, but man, he did. And then, you come into the playoff, and I thought it was over because, Ricky pushes that tee shot off to the right side on 18. And I was like, oh no, he clearly had the worst tee shot of the group in the playoff there, but it ended up in a good spot. And then he just hits an absolute dart with the second shot. And oh my, I mean, that is just an incredible shot. I mean, if it would have been one of those from, deeper into the woods and at a difficult angle, we would have been calling him Bubba Watson, but he just hit an absolute dart, and the iron game was especially locked in. It felt like, and then the other thing I want to say is, you could just see his reaction was perfect.
Correct.
His reaction was absolutely perfect. There's always the classic fist pumps. There's the classic, Tiger Woods celebrations. He just let that weight that's been on his shoulders, you could just tell it fell right off. It just fell right off the shoulders, drops the putter. Caddy comes in and it's jumping all around. It was a sight to see. If you haven't seen, the reaction of Rickie Fowler when that final putt drops, I would definitely highly recommend you go check it out, because that's what sports are all about there.
Did you guys see the meme of Rickie Fowler after he sunk the putt? It's like, this is what Ricky was looking at when he was looking up to the sky, and it basically cuts to the scene in Happy Gilmore where everyone's looking down from heaven and
Yes.
waving at him.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah,
saw that.
yeah, that was a great meme. Bob, I know you're a fan of the Orange Man, Ricky Fowler. Do you have any thoughts?
Oh no.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
We got,
Oh,
I do.
he's here. He's here.
I do.
I was worried.
I do have some thoughts. I actually really was hoping to see Ricky win because I know he's been close a few times.
Yes.
As of recent, the clubs were heating up. At this point, golf is such a mental game. It gets down to those last holes or two, and it's close. Can you hold up? And finally, that bad tee shot that you mentioned in the playoff, able to ward that off and delivered the goods after it evaded him for so long, Dennis. Um,
Correct.
just the storylines of sports that people stick around for, right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dennis, any further thoughts? Or shall we move into some brief basketball talk?
No, I think I summed up everything that I had to offer on that, but I'm really happy for him, and it was a great weekend for the world of golf.
This is a Ricky Fowler podcast, dang it. Ricky Fowler podcast.
That's right.
Bob, there was some NBA news that has broke between the time of the last recording and the one we are doing right now. First up, Anthony Edwards, Bob. Is he a max contract player?
Well, it doesn't matter if he's or not because he is now, Derek, and secured the Baggerino.
Correct.
Here's the thing: I think if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, it's a deal that you've got to do. Because and the fact of the matter is, who are you bringing to Minnesota? You've got to retain what you've got, and hope that Cat and in the Edwards are enough, and then you can maybe lure in some quality outside pieces. But I think that it was always clear that this was something that was going to happen because it's Minnesota. The guy was home, came up in their system, has been nothing but good indication so far in his career, and they had to take care of him.
Also, Austin Reeves re-signed with the Lakers, Bob, and shattered my dreams of Austin Reeves playing in Detroit.
Austin Reeves, right back where he belongs. I always, think to myself when Alex Caruso was also rumored to potentially be a Detroit Piston, and I was very excited about that, and it never happened. So I'm right there with you, Derek.
Dennis's favorite NBA player, LaMelo Ball, also signing a max contract extension. Dennis, don't fall out of your chair.
Quite literally fell out of my chair. I mean, it's not just this figure of speech. Man, this hotel chair is whack. Wow.
Dennis,
oh my gosh.
any
Thank
thoughts?
You, Holiday Inn.
Any thoughts on the youngest son of LeVar Ball, LaMelo Ball, signing a max contract extension, 5-year max contract, over $250 million?
Derek, this is a children's show, so no, I don't have any. This is a family show here. We keep things PG, so I have no thoughts.
Bob, I know you're a big LaMelo Ball fan.
Yeah, no, not to the tune of $250 million. I'm not, but Dennis is a hater of the Ball family, a known hater. So, and no surprise coming from him. But I think that if his tune was going to be that there's a little bit too much cash for his liking, I would generally agree.
Couple more bigger names. The Rockets, Bob, went on a little spending spree, signing Jock Landale, signing Dylan Brooks for 4-year, $80 million, and also
waste.
Correct, and also acquiring Patty Mills from the Brooklyn Nets. Bob, this seems like a lot of mediocre lateral moves.
I'm hearing a lot of cap trouble, Derek. I'm hearing a lot of cap trouble and a lot of Zoiks mid at best talent that isn't going to do diddly squat. I mean, you bring in a guy like Amen Thompson, and this is what you try to surround him with, Derek.
I
I
mean,
mean,
Bob, paying Jock
you're gonna need
Landale,
you're
paying
gonna need a prayer to get these guys into a winning record. That's all I gotta say.
they're paying Jock Landale more per year than he averaged points per game. 8 mil a year,
Don't
6.6 points per game. I mean, unbelievable.
get your numbers up.
The Knicks, Bob, signed Dante DiVincenzo, 4-year, 50 mil. Any thoughts there?
Dante looked good in his limited role with the Warriors. And then did he have a stint in Milwaukee as well, Derek?
I believe so. I believe that's where he
He got his
started.
start.
I believe that's where he started, right? Yeah. Yeah, because
Um,
Yeah, I think so.
$50 million seems a little rich for my blood, but it's the Big Apple, baby. I guess I can afford it.
And I think because the salary cap's going up, we're going to see a lot of glorified role players getting paid starter level money. Interesting note with the Knicks, Dante DiVincenzo joins Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, uh, two other members of the 2018 Villanova title team, Dennis, in New York.
Correct. Correct.
Uh, two or three more. 217 mil, 5 years for Domantas Sabonis, Bob. Is that money well spent?
I think so. I like Domantas Sabonis. I always have. And it's Sacramento. Once again, you got the same problem as you do in Minnesota. Who are you luring
Correct.
to Sacramento? You've got to keep what you've got and then hope to build around it, because certainly at times this past year, it looked like they were certainly good enough to do something. So hold serve there.
Miles Bridges, Bob, MSU legend, alleged domestic abuser, has signed a qualifying offer to return to the Hornets. Thoughts?
Yeah, muddied history there, but made his way back to the league. I've heard that there was potentially some interest outside of just Charlotte as well, but it's unlikely that both sides are gonna he's gonna resign there after this year. I've heard that they're pretty far apart in negotiations. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah, not much else to say there.
yeah.
Yeah. The Suns signing Eric Gordon, Bob, is that what gets them over the edge?
Washed.
The Mavs acquiring Grant Williams, is that what pushes them over the edge, and then paying him 4 years, $53 million? That seems like an overpay.
Play like 3 good games.
Correct. Two more. DeJounte Murray, 4 years, 120 mil. I think that's money well spent, Bob. Do you?
Is that in Atlanta, Derek?
That is.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's money well spent, because everybody knows that they want to get rid of Trae Young. So
Fair enough. And then last but not least, Damian Lillard, Bob, wants out of Portland, but his agent is calling all the other teams and saying, if you're not the Miami Heat, don't bother because Dame will refuse to play for you.
You know, the number one preacher of loyalty in the NBA, Derek.
He was.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Does the pride cometh before the fall?
It does. You know, this guy out there peddling this idea that he would always be happy in Portland no matter what. You know, even though they weren't winning championships, he would always be happy. And, you know, Portland may not be the best team, but even without Lillard, like, they've still got some decent pieces there, like, especially with these last few drafts that they had.
I mean, them getting Scoot Henderson.
Yeah.
Massive W. Massive W.
I mean, I don't know what they were like. He was expecting them to do with that pick. I don't know what would have been available as an alternative. But
maybe he was upset they overpaid Jeremy Grant, perhaps.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme among teams. But you know, I don't know. Part of me feels like this is kind of like a hypocrite move, but I do feel for the guy. But at the same time, like this has been happening for a long time, and he kind of made clear at many points that like it didn't really matter to him, and now it does all
Yeah.
of a sudden.
I
So
I think he's in his right to ask for a trade. I think going about I think the way he's going about asking for a trade um is kind of I guess I'll say hypocritical cuz why not? It's a not cool to say the least. Dennis, do you have any thoughts on loyal players asking for trades from the team they've been loyal to and then handcuffing them in the search for a trade partner?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of loyal players in general across the board. And so yeah, that's a little frustrating because I don't know, I just rather see players stay loyal for the most part, and that's kind of a deep philosophical discussion, but and I understand that at the end of the day it's a business and blah 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 blah, but I guess I just have a bit of I just enjoy the fact that when a player is loyal to the team that's given so much to them. I just think that that's a respectable thing.
Fair enough. That's all I got for major sports news. Does anyone else
No, I'm
have?
good.
All right, well, we might be able to get out of here in under an hour 15, which Bob will be very appreciative of. Right bench ballers, winners and losers. Who wants to start it off? You know what, Bob, since you're back from your brief hiatus, how about you give us your right bench baller?
yes, sir. And let me switch tabs here on my
Mm-hmm.
phone. I'm actually going to go with none other than Luke Raley of the Tampa Bay Rays. Um, Outfielder first baseman combo. Over the past week, batting 350 with three dongs and seven ribbies, even a stolen bag for the big fella. 480 OBP over the past week as well. Guy's been, as they say, um, even tearing up Dennis's Phillies a little bit, the tune of a dong, uh, last night. So, Luke, gotta tip my cap there.
Dennis, your right bench baller.
Yeah, we're gonna go out to Kansas City, and I believe I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's Mikel Garcia.
Michael Garcia.
Mikel. Mikel Garcia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 13 hits, homer, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and a couple of stolen bags in the last 7 days. Um, Also, under 9% rostered in our fantasy baseball league. So there you go. He's had a good week, and I mean, a couple of performances that were just pretty impressive, strung together like a 4 for 4, 2 for 3, 3 for 3 days. So yeah, good for Mikhail out there in Kansas City.
I'm gonna go to the Queen City, specifically Queens, New York. Badumch. Tommy Pham. Tommy
Ooh.
Pham had a pretty strong week, hit 520, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, added 2 walks, and an OPS of 1.476. Tommy Pham, a pretty, grizzled veteran at this point, has bounced around to a couple different teams and had a hot week, and I reward him with the distinction of the right bench baller of the week. Bob, we'll swing it back to you for your winner.
Catchers in the home run derby. Uh, how long has it been? Well, I guess since Salvi a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's not very often you see catchers making the home run derby, and now we've got the young gun Adley, who I think everybody thinks is a legitimate, like he's got a legitimate chance to maybe make a little bit of noise. Uh, Out there ready to roll. I'm really excited for that matchup.
Dennis, your winner.
Bobby, we should have JT in there too.
The real Muto.
The real Muto, yes, not the fake one. I'm gonna go with, we already talked about it pretty extensively, but I'm just so happy for him, Ricky Fowler.
Fudge.
It Oh no. Oh no!
Not again,
I
Dennis.
didn't do
Not
it.
again.
I did it to him. Yeah, I mean, we already touched on it. First win in over 1,600 days on tour, and he just needed it bad. And he's been playing so well this year. As Derek mentioned, got the new swing coach. He's finally looking like Ricky Fowler once again, and competing in these events. And to see him, battle it out, and really a true test with some surges from Colin and from Adam Hadwin. Uh, yeah, he's just a massive winner. Take the week off, Ricky. Enjoy it. I'll go down to the John Deere, and I'll see you at the Open.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because I was also gonna go with Ricky. I guess I should have guessed that you also would have went with Ricky, Dennis. Um, so I guess I'll go with. Shoot, I don't even know. Here's what I'll go with. First time All Stars, specifically Justin Steele. The Cubs have not given me too much to cheer about this year, but Justin Steele, an actual homegrown arm in the Cubs organization. It's been a long time since we've had one of those. He's been really good. I think he has one of, if not the best, ERAs dating back to last July or August or something like that. He's at least in the same ERA range as Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, and the likes of those guys. So quite a few first-time All-Stars. I believe Wander Franco, first-time All-Star, and there's a couple more that obviously I'm not going to be able to remember them all. But specifically for the Cubs, Justin Steele is going to be my winner of the week. Congratulations to him for making his first All-Star game, and hopefully many more to come. Bob, back to you for your loser.
In a roundabout way, I'm going to go Tarek Skubal for loser of the week because he shoved 5 innings of scoreless no-hit ball, and then proceeded to watch his team lose the game in the process to the lowly Oakland Athletics, folks. We're not talking about some world beaters here. A collective no-hitter, I believe, for the majority of the game, maybe through 7 or 8 innings for the Tigers there. And then still lost the game to the Oakland Athletics. I am on ditch watch and yakking as we speak.
Dennis, you're a loser.
I'm going to go with. I didn't really have too much of a loser this week, so this is a bit of a stretch. But Dave Martinez, manager of the Washington Nationals. Yeah, so I mean, not
that
only
was
do you have to manage the
hilarious.
Washington Nationals and do a crappy job of it, but trying to get Elly de la Cruz just outed for absolutely no reason when Major League Baseball completely confirmed the I don't know, was it like a cap on the end of the
Yeah,
end of the bat, a
yeah,
plastic cap?
yeah, it was some sort of knob cap at the end of his bat.
Knob cap, yeah, that somehow is giving Elly de la Cruz superpowers and enables him to do things that are illegal in the game of baseball. Yeah, idiot. No logic behind that whatsoever.
Keep him out of the
Major League
hall. Keep him
Baseball
out of the hall.
quickly outed him for that. But a little bit of credit for doing whatever he thought he was doing to try to help his team win a game. But the truth of the matter is the Nationals just suck, and you do too, Dave.
I mean, how about pointing at the knob to
and then yeah,
and
exactly.
then bat flipping? I mean, tells you all you need to know. My loser of the week is Britney Spears. I don't know if Bob,
Yeah.
surely you saw this headline as well.
Not the security.
Britney Spears was allegedly assaulted by a member of Victor Wembanyama's security team after she was backhanded in the face. Conflicting reports, some saying that Britney hugged Victor from behind, Britney's camp saying she merely tapped him on the back of the shoulder to try and have an interaction with him. But the fact of the matter is, she was given the five-finger salute and just welcome to America, Victor Wembanyama. Do you guys have any honorable mention winners or losers? Because I have one honorable mention loser, and then Bob, you can take it away.
I do not.
I'll assume Bob does not have one either. Honorable mention loser, Los Angeles Angels fans. Stephen A. Smith roasted the crap out of the Angels, and for a man who doesn't watch a lick of baseball, he was absolutely 100%.
Correct.
He was 100% spot on about the state of Los Angeles Angels baseball. So credit to Stephen A. for having almost zero knowledge when it comes to the sort of the geosphere of the MLB and understanding that nobody in LA cares about the Angels and that if it wasn't for Shohei and Mike Trout, they would be completely irrelevant. So, tough look for Angels fans to get burned by a guy who doesn't watch anything other than the Yankees. So, real tough scenes out here. Bob, Garbage Time takes your money. I know you have a truly magnificent game for us. To briefly recap last month's Garbage Time Takes Your Money results, we had the Pirates and the Mets. I believe Rich Hill was on the mound, and that's why that game
That
was
sounds about
chosen. The over/under for that game was 9.5. All three of us took the Mets, and the Pirates ended up winning that game 14-7. So me and Dennis took the over. Bob unfortunately went 0 for 2. So hopefully the fortunes change this week. Bob, take it away.
Well, we've got a very intriguing barn burner matchup of pitchers here, with the Detroit Tigers against the Toronto Blue Jays at home in Comerica Park, uh, going on tomorrow. Pitchers on the mound are going to be Alex Faedo, coming off of injury, you know, real bullpen journeyman for the Tigers, against none other than Alek Manoah, who, as everybody knows, got demoted to the Florida League, proceeded to give up horrible starts in the Florida League.
But his last
Finally
start was good.
finally got back on track, got promoted to Double A, barely did anything there, and now guess what? He's suddenly right there, Derek and Dennis, and he's coming back, hopefully to not get right against the Detroit Tigers. But something tells me that this was planned, and we are going to be in for a world of hurt and get Alek Manoah back on, all world status as he was before. Over under this game is 9 runs even. Dennis, can I get your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly where the over/under should be, probably. Thank you, Vegas, for that. Appreciate it. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Maybe I'm going out on a limb. I'm going to say Alek Manoah does not get back on track against the Detroit Tigers in Comerica Park. He has struggled mightily, as Bobby has outlined, and I'm going to say that the Detroit Tigers at home win this ball game on a Friday night. And I'm also going to say go ahead and hit the over. These pitchers, I just have no trust in either of them. Alek Manoah is going to have to prove it before I have any sort of reason to back him. And I'm just looking at a 5.54 ERA here from what is it, Alex Faedo or Alec Faedo? So yeah, I have no reason to trust either one of them to the extent that I would go under. So over in the Tigers for me.
I will also be taking the over for similar reasons. Again, Alek Manoah is going to have to prove it to me. He was a very trusted part of my pitching staff last year in fantasy baseball. This year, been absolutely brutal. And I personally am not a big fan of Faedo. He's had some good starts. He's had some real clunkers. And when you got a guy coming back from injury, he's probably not going to get stretched out that far. And the Tigers bullpen has had its ups and downs this year, and the Blue Jays have a very prolific offense. Granted, it being at Comerica could limit some of the home run damage. It is a pitcher's park, but I think the Blue Jays might find those power alleys a few too many times for the under to hit. Bob, what are you taking?
I'm on board with you on this one, Derek. I would go with Blue Jays in the over. The Tigers have actually been, outside of embarrassing themselves against Oakland, have actually been putting up a decent amount of runs. And we all know that the Blue Jays are more than capable, especially when Whit Merrifield's hitting 2 dongs in one game, as he did tonight. Alek Manoah, something tells me I'm looking at Chuvyitis, and I'm looking at like a 10-1 Blue Jays game, which would be disgusting and make me very sick. And I might not even be able to appear next week if that happens. But I'm going with you, Derek, over in the Jays.
Well, that'll wrap it up for this week's episode. We're going to get you out of here in under an hour 15, Bob. Feel free to plug the socials. I don't know if you had a chance to watch last week's episode, Bob, but Dennis nailed it. He nailed it.
Ooh,
Dennis,
absolutely.
I'm so glad that you, after 50 episodes of work, when you finally were well, you were actually probably only there for about 25 of them, but
Oh,
but
oh no, we're getting a low
25
blow.
episodes
Low
where
blow.
you were able to get that down. At Garbage Time Takes on Twitter, at Garbage Time Takes on Instagram. You can find the link to our website in the description of this video below. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thank you guys for your support through 50 episodes of content. We appreciate you guys more than you know, and please continue to show as much love as possible and share it with friends and family. Always trying to, just increase our reach little by little, and have fun every week.
Can we get 50 subscribers for episode 50, Bob? Can we get 50 views for episode 50, perhaps?
Need it.
That would be yes. Gotta see it.
Gotta
see
have
it come through.
Brett,
That'd be
Ohio,
incredible.
stand up.
That's right, baby.
As always, thank you again so much for watching. Hopefully, the next time you'll be able to see all of our beautiful faces. Without further ado, we appreciate all the support. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Share this with as many people as you feel comfortable with, because we'd love to hit 50 views, 50 subs for episode number 50. We will see you next week in 3,
2,
1.
Peace.
Peace.